All right, let's look at this homework set of problems from page 236 and 237, all really involving these inequalities in triangles and angles. Right here, we have a situation where this triangle right here, and this triangle right here, and this triangle right here, all have a lot of similarities to each other. The first triangle has two sides that are congruent to the second triangle, which has two sides that are congruent to the third triangle. So it's that third side that we don't know anything about, this side, and this side. But we know relative size. We don't know how big they are, but we know how big they are in relation to the other ones. Because this side is going to have a relationship to this angle as this side over here does to this angle, as this side does to this angle. And so because all of those other sides are congruent, then this third side is going to be, the relative size of it is going to be based off those angles. And so for that, if that doesn't make any sense, I'm sorry, these three angles right here have to add up to be 180. And so what I can do is I can take that 58 and that 56 and sum them, and I get 114. And I put that right here and say, well, 114, I take that from 180, and I'm left with 66 degrees, which means that this angle right here has to be 66 degrees. So therefore, if I'm supposed to order these three from least to greatest, I look for the smallest angle. And this right here is the smallest angle, that 56. So that would mean that CD is the smallest. And it is a little bit smaller than, and I look for the next biggest angle, 58 degrees. So the next biggest is AB. And then the next biggest, I see 66 degrees. So the next biggest is BC. So there's those three sides listed from least to greatest. Because there is some congruency carryover in those, then we can do that. If there wasn't, if that shape did not have those congruent symbols, then we would not be able to do this. Let's pretend for a second that we had one like this, and it was like the exact same situation. It said 58, and it said 56, and so then we knew we were able to find that this one was 66. But if that's all we knew, I'll label this A, B, C, and D. If that's all we knew, we don't know any relationship of these sides. You know, we don't know this one's relationship with this one or with this one, because we've got to have something consistent as we go from triangle to triangle. And so the fact that we had that these were congruent, that gave us a lot of information. I mean, think, really, it's possible that you could have had this side be, exceptionally longer. This is kind of exaggerated and looks almost a little silly, but clearly, even though this is the medium size angle, that is not the medium size side. So again, we've got to have the fact that there's some carryover, some congruence from one triangle to another, or they have to share a side or something, so that way we can make a judgment about the relative size. All right, next one. So in this one, again, all sorts of crazy. So really, you just got to look for these angles. Angle PTU. Angle PTU is right here. Angle SQT. SQT is right here. And then angle, QSR. QSR is right here. Now notice, each one of those angles is created by one leg that's 7 and one leg that's 8. Okay, one leg that's 7, one leg that's 8, one leg that's 7, one leg that's 8. So all of those angles are kind of created by the same size legs. So how wide or narrow the angle opens is going to directly be connected to the side opposite of that angle. So again, if we're trying to go from least to greatest, then the least or the smallest side opposite of any one of those angles would be the 6, opposite of this angle right here. And so then the smallest angle would have to be Q, no, I'm not Q, but angle, there we go, angle SQT. Okay, that would be the smallest. And then 7 is the next biggest side that's opposite of one of these three angles that we've pointed out. So therefore, angle QSR is the next largest. And then 8 is the biggest that's opposite of any one of these angles. So therefore, that's the biggest angle, and that's angle PTU. All right, moving on. Let's look at number 7. This one is such a cool problem. I know it's probably kind of crazy, but I think it's a neat problem. Okay, it gives us this 50 degrees and this 45 degrees, and that can seem a little bit, odd at first, but really what's important that we get from that is we get this angle right here, that one's 130 and this one's 135. Okay, because in both cases, you got a kayak that went 150 yards and then kind of took a little bit of a turn and then did another 120 yards. And the question is, which one is closer to the dock, right? Well, whoever went the straightest, the straightest away from the dock the whole time is going to be the one that's further away. And because this angle right here is bigger than this angle right here, then he went further away from the dock. Think about a more exaggerated example. What if that was a really small angle? One looked like that, and the other one looked like that. It would be really obvious which one is closer to the dock, okay? Now, maybe that first side is a little bit too long for that one, so let me try that again. But, you can say, well, he went about to here, and then he went out to here. That's pretty clear on who's closer and who's further away from the dock. But all of that, if this side's the same size as this side, and this side is the same size as this side, then it's all based on whether this angle or this angle is bigger, okay? And so because in this situation, this angle right here is bigger, then this one reached out further. So kayak B is further from the dock, which would make kayak A closer to the dock, okay? And so in that problem, and another way of looking at it is just you kind of create the triangle. You got one side right here, one side right here, one side right here, and you say that's 130 degrees versus another triangle, very similar, but this one's 135, and you say this side's congruent to this side, and this side's congruent to this side, then this third side, right here and right here, would all be about which one has the bigger angle. And this one has a bigger, this one down here has a bigger angle, and so therefore this third side is bigger than this one, meaning, again, that kayak A is closer to the dock. All right, now these I can walk through a lot more easily. Again, look at the similarities. This is the congruent to this. This is congruent to this. So the only thing we pay attention to is which one's got a bigger angle. And so in this one of the things I can see is well, 75 degrees is bigger than 60 degrees, which means that the side KF has to be bigger than the side QS, which then has to mean that 2x plus 3 has got to be greater than 15. And once you get to here, then it's easy to solve. You just subtract 3 from both sides. And you say 2x is greater than 12 and divide by 2, and you get x is greater than 6. And there's your answer. So for this one, x has got to be greater than 6 for this situation to be true. Okay, for the next problem, well, let's try that one. Again, this side is congruent to this side, and this side is congruent to this side. So that third side really just comes down, this side right here, really just comes down to which one is opposite the larger angle. And this one right here is opposite the larger angle. This one right here is opposite the smaller angle. And that helps you just understand the relationship. But for this one, I might say, well, I might spin it around and say, well, 100 degrees is less than 110. And that's true, which would mean that the length of side DE is less than the length of side AC, which is also true. So therefore, 6x minus 12 is less than 30, which is also true. Add 12 to both sides, and you get 6x is less than 42. Divide by 6, and x is less than 7. Okay? And now, while I've said you've got to see which one's bigger, it really doesn't matter which one's bigger. You just have to know which one is bigger or which one is smaller. You have to know one way or the other. Like in this case, 100 degrees is smaller than 110. And that let me put my x on the left side. We usually like it that way. Okay, moving on, number 11, okay? This one, exact same situation, except this time, instead of having information about the angle, we have information about that other side, that opposite side. See here, again, these two are congruent to these two, so we're paying attention to that third side and go, wait, this one is bigger than this one. So that speaks to us about the angle. We could say 32 is less than 39, which means that angle M would have to be smaller than, angle J, which means that 4x minus 25 has to be less than 75. And at this point, we just add 25 to both sides. We say 4x is less than 100, divide both sides by 4, and x is less than 25. Okay, pretty simple. So this one right here is x is less than 25. Okay, this other one, very simple and very similar. Again, we're just looking at going, okay, this side's going to this, those two sides are going to these two sides. So it all comes down to that third side. This one's smaller than this one. So again, I know that 32 is less than 41, which would mean that angle E is smaller than angle C, which means that 3x plus 17 is less than 77. You can subtract 17 from both sides and get 3x is less than 60. Divide by 3 and x is less than 20. Pretty simple. So for this one, x is less than 20. All right, and last one. Here we go. Now this time they threw the triangles together. Now why did they do that? Well, that way they didn't have to label congruency everywhere. You know, they've got a shared side. We can say like this side right here is shared. And then we can also see that this side is congruent to this side. So there we really have the same situation. Opposite of that, we can see that this side is bigger than this side. So we know, that 25 is bigger than 21, which would mean that angle, what do we want to call it? HKJ is greater than angle HKG, which means that 3x plus 4 is greater than 40, which means that 3x is greater than 36, which means that x is greater than 12. So for this problem, x is greater than 12. That's pretty easy. Okay, same situation for the next one. For the next one, you see what we've got. We've got a lot of, again, this side, the 25 is congruent to this side, and then they share a side right here. And so we're interested in that third side right here and right here. So we look to find the bigger angle or the smaller angle. We just got to know which one's which. And I can see that 112 degrees is less than 133 degrees. Again, doesn't matter. We could also write it, just for the sake of fun, we could write 133 degrees is greater than 112 degrees. And if that were the case, that's still true, okay? And so in this first one, that would mean that 2x plus 17 is less than, or, I don't know if it helps for me to establish then that means that AD is less than DC, or in this case, DC is greater than AD, which this means then that 2x plus 17 is less than 39, or 39 is greater than 2x plus 17. And we subtract 17 from both sides, we get that 2x is less than 22. Subtract 17 from both sides, we get 22 is greater than 2x. Divide both sides by 2, and we get that x is less than 11, or 11 is greater, oof, that's ugly, is greater than x. Either way, it's the same answer. Okay, hopefully you feel confident and in control of this homework now, and hopefully have a great day.